financial users. This is Valeria Vico. Today talking about precosting utilities. It is month-end date and we want to make sure you have the right tools to be able to close your month effectively. You can trust your data. So what's precosting utilities? Precosting utilities is a set of audits that will help you analyze the data, capture any anomalies before you actually start the month-end process. So what's that all about? That's in our checklist. You will find a set of steps that will help you follow that logic. And if you don't have the checklist, what you can do is you see either the BDI, the inventory app, the audit module, or the eBoard app, the manufacturing audits as well. I'll show you on the screen here. So on the BDI audit, that's the module that I'm talking about today. In the eBoard, if you're a Finboard user, you will see those audits as well under the manufacturing audit module. So what are precosting utilities? Those are scripts that will capture issues on timely basis before you actually run month end. So what are the key audits you need to pay attention to at month end? Well, negative location. So negative quantity at the location level. That is a very important one. We know that if the inventory is negative, the costing, Visual cannot allocate the proper cost to transactions. So we have to fix those negatives right away at the end of the day. Now, if you are a 24/7 type of business, you may need to wait until tomorrow to be able to clear that up. But if you can do it before the end today, that would be great. On the audit itself, it tells you on the right-hand side what those records mean and how you can fix them. So if we have a negative quantity, let's say due to a PO that hasn't been processed, then we have to talk to purchasing and ask them what happened with that receipt. So they will go ahead and process it. Now, if you're doing this audit tomorrow, then you have to ask purchasing to backdate that PO receipt, because that's exactly what happened on the floor in reality, right? So we are allowed to backdate the transaction in the system if necessary. Make sure you have product codes for all parts. If we don't have product codes, and maybe you're not a product code user, that's okay. We have to make sure that the right accounts are in the GL interface. Costed quantity is a very important field in Visual. If costed quantity is greater than the transaction quantity, well, something went wrong. Most likely is due to an error in the allocation. So if you're linking work orders to sales orders, then if the allocation is not right, then that could create a costed quantity issue. Again, there is a fix for it. No, don't panic. The fix is a common one in costing tools. PO opened lines for closed work orders. That's another very important one that will allow us to identify if there is any purchase order that is still open for jobs that have been closed or shipped. If we have PO lines that are still open, that could impact your gross profit. So my advice is just go ahead, check the PO. It may be that the PO line is not valid. So if that's the case, you just need to cancel that line and move forward. If that record will disappear from the audit. Work orders closed short. So sometimes manufacturing will go and change the status of a work order to closed. It's not the best way to close a job in Visual, because that could mean that some charges will remain in the WIP balance report, and it's not the proper practice. So if we need to basically get rid of a job that had charges, but we're not really moving forward, we're not finishing anything with it, we just need to cancel that work order to be able to remove those charges from WIP and transfer them into cost of goods sold. Now, if the received quantity on the work order is actually less than what the work order was set to produce, then we can't really manually close that work order. We have to, in any case, visual will automatically or should automatically close the work order when all the requirements are met. So if in this case we have a work order for 1,000 units and we only built 200, but the work order was closed manually, well, what we need to do is re-release that work order, change the desired quantity to match the received quantity if we're not making any units, and then Visual will close that job automatically, and Costing Utilities will close the loop on the costing side as well. PO lines with zero values, that's something that we would need to change to just check at month end because we want to avoid having PO receipts valued at zero, unless they're, samples or something their vendor gave you for free. But that's not usually the case. So if you can audit those PO lines, it is usually better to have purchasing assign an estimated cost to the PO, and eventually that cost will be revised or can be revised at the time we enter the final bill for that vendor. And so, but it's better to have an estimated cost in that PO, so the receipts will be valued and at a dollar amount, and then our working process will also be valued properly instead of just having no value for those parts. Dormant work orders, those are other things that we also would need to check before we start the month-end process. Dormant means that the work order didn't have activity for quite a while. The audit is set to check for 30 days. And so anything that didn't have activity, inventory activity for the last 30 days, it will show up on this list. And as you can see they have a status of released, but the jobs are still open. So what we need to ask manufacturing or engineering is if these jobs are still valid, if these projects are moving forward or not. Maybe there is a reason for being in standby. But we need to ask the question if they're not valid anymore. But then again, we just need to close them properly or cancel them, actually, and so that the system will transfer all those charges to the proper cost center. So those are the Precosting Utilities audits that I would advise you start doing today before you start your month end. Tomorrow will be another exciting day where we're going to review what to do next. Well, I hope this has been useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can just send us an email or give us a call, or just post your comments on this video. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.